Straight ahead on 12 News, a new tool to quickly track stolen vehicles. It's set to arrive in Brooklyn Center. Then, a Golden Valley relief organization that's in it for the long haul.
It doesn't just last for that hero period afterwards where everybody kicks in to help.
But first, notable signs of a summer that has taken its toll. 12 News starts right now. Well, we got a small amount of rain this week, but too little to help some stressed out trees. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Johnson.
And I'm Alexandra Renslow. Brown leaves and early leaf drop are all signs that the drought is taking a toll on our trees. It's a problem that could ultimately cost you a few trees in your yard, but it's not too late to save them.
We walk every morning. It's about, not quite, but just about 3 miles.
Cindy and Roger Hurd's daily walk has long become a routine.
Very much routine.
We come down the trail along the creek, which is very, very nice.
Lately, this couple can't help but notice the trees.
They're kind of getting a little brown. They look like they're being stressed a little bit more than normal.
Look like they're really dry.
They're right. The lack of rainfall is stressing trees, in some cases browning the leaves and leading to an early leaf drop.
It's really setting up for next year. And if the tree comes out of next year and it's stressed already, it's already at a disadvantage next spring, and we can't really predict what next spring's going to be like.
A stressed tree now can lead to a stressed tree next spring, and that makes it more susceptible to insects and disease, like borers and beetles that could put an end to your favorite shade tree.
When you get to a point where the insects or diseases come along that are opportunistic, they can pick out the ones that are stressed.
You can just tell that they're not the way they usually are.
I know in our yard we've got a lot more dry leaves on the ground.
The brown is kind of disturbing.
Plymouth forester Paul Buck says it's not always so easy to tell if a tree is stressed, but it's not too late to protect and relieve your trees. Just turn on the hose every day.
It's easier to just say, let's water as many trees as you can. I mean, if you have a big, beautiful tree in your front yard, the pennies you're going to spend on watering that tree for a couple weeks through the fall are well spent.
Ideally, 1 to 2 inches of rain each week would help the trees this fall before winter comes.
Brooklyn Center Police will soon have a new tool to help find stolen cars. It's a camera that scans license plates and can immediately pick out a car that's been stolen or a driver who is wanted. Brooklyn Center Police won a grant for $48,000 to pay for 2 cameras. There has been concern about how the data that's recorded is used. Brooklyn Center officials say that information won't be saved.
They'll be instantly removed from the system. So basically, we pull up to an intersection, we run the plate either comes back clear or stolen, and we're notified right away. That data then goes away. So we're not going to retain that data. There's nothing that's going to be saved on our servers at this time. It's simply instant notification, and then it's gone.
And police say with the location of freeways around Brooklyn Center, the city is in a key spot to find stolen vehicles. Brooklyn Center hopes they'll be up and running in a little over a month.
Brooklyn Park Police say burglaries on the east side of the city are down 75% since early summer. That area saw a rash of home break-ins in June and July. They happened overnight when victims were sleeping. The burglars got in through unlocked windows or doors. Police held 4 neighborhood meetings to talk about the incidents. They also stepped up patrols and curfew sweeps.
Some area churches have come together to take a different approach to Minnesota's same-sex marriage amendment. 4 local congregations gathered at Valley of Peace Lutheran Church in Golden Valley Thursday night to discuss the impact of November's vote. The goal of the gathering wasn't to change people's minds on the issue, but to soften their hearts.
What it's really about is learning how to talk in a new way, how to ask questions, how to invite, how to be curious about what it is that somebody else thinks and believes and where that's come from, instead of assuming that we need to establish who's right and who's wrong.
The gathering session also included a video on how to have respectful conversations on a divisive topic. Similar discussions will be held throughout the state every week until late October. The Minnesota Council of Churches, by the way, hosted that discussion. The group hopes to have conversations on other challenging topics in the future.
Local delegates to the Democratic National Convention say they are coming home energized and ready to work. The state delegation responded when President Obama mentioned Minnesota-based Marvin Windows and how the company laid off no workers during the economic downturn.
the family business in Warroad, Minnesota, that didn't lay off a single one of their 4,000 employees when the recession hit.
If you saw us on TV, we all rose to our feet, and we were very proud of the fact that the President of the United States mentioned Minnesota and the things that Minnesota means to the national picture.
Bill Davis of Brooklyn Park was a delegate in that crowd Thursday night. He says the speech earlier this week by Michelle Obama raised the roof, and last night's speech pointed to the differences in the campaigns.
I think if people listen to the record and listen to the accomplishments, there's no doubt that people will realize that we did not receive or achieve everything that the president had promised, but certainly he's on the right path. You know, as someone who's been on the job, who has made a few mistakes along the way, but certainly has learned from those mistakes how to do things better.
There was news today that the economy created fewer jobs than expected last month. Davis says at least job growth is going in the right direction and it shouldn't slow down the campaign's momentum. Coming up, a Golden Valley group striving to make a difference.
How it's providing relief to some of the most devastated regions of the world. Then later in sports, it's a big early season race for local cross-country teams.
But first, what should be a perfect weekend for running, according to your AccuWeather forecast. It's been 7 years since Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, but recovery efforts are still ongoing to this day.
The Golden Valley-based nonprofit organization called Headwaters is one of the organizations providing long-term relief for not only Katrina's victims, but for people involved with other natural disasters as well. Delane Cleveland has more on what they do and why they need the public's help.
The exterior of Headwaters' main office along Highway 169 is rather unassuming.
This is Headwaters Relief Organization's Facebook page.
But if you take a closer look inside,
Here's our most recent trip to Haiti.
You'll see their reach extends well beyond the Twin Cities borders.
We have a large group of volunteers that help both with physical regrowth and rebuilding of communities and individual homes.
Headwaters provides both immediate and long-term physical aid and mental health support to devastated areas.
It doesn't just last for that hero period afterwards where everybody kicks in to help and then they leave. For the next disaster, we stick around and continue to help.
Initially formed in response to Hurricane Katrina,
we have a presence there on a monthly basis with the children in that area.
The organization has evolved into a national volunteer initiative that takes them to disaster sites as close as North Minneapolis and as far away as Haiti.
Yeah, as much as we can be recognized as that, the more helpful it's going to be for us to help those victims.
Yet for as much help as they provide to victims, Headwaters is always in need of financial support to keep their initiatives going.
There's a donate button right there.
Officials here hope that a 5K fun run and walk Saturday in Maple Grove can raise some of those much needed funds.
All of those proceeds go directly to the victims. Nothing goes to administration costs or anything of the such. So it is really important that every dollar we bring in goes right back to the victims of these disasters.
Victims who still need help years after the attention has waned.
We're in it for the long haul with the victims.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
The annual Headwaters 5K Fun Run and Walk takes place Saturday at 8:30 in the morning at Elm Creek Park Reserve in Maple Grove. You can register for the race at active.com. Love to garden but have poor soil? No problem. Coming up, we're in the garden with a unique solution.
But first in sports, we'll head out to Maple Grove and look ahead to tonight's big Osseo Maple Grove football matchup. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
Feels a little bit like football weather outside for the first time this season, and you've got a lot of games to look at tonight.
A lot cooler than last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Friday night lights shine a little bit brighter when you got that rivalry between the two Osseo Maple Grove teams.
We've
too.
got a great one tonight, yeah, that's for sure. It's another big night of prep football, one of the biggest rivalry games of the season in the area. Kicks off at 7 o'clock in Maple Grove. That's where Jay Wilcox is standing by now with a preview of the Maple Grove Osseo game. Jay?
Thanks, John, and it is definitely a windy one, at least so far here at Maple Grove, as the Orioles in crimson getting set to kick off at 7 o'clock tonight. And I'll be calling the game along with Joe Moline, our football color analyst. And Joe, couldn't ask for much more from the first week for both of these teams, Osseo and Maple Grove, each winning in impressive fashion and really rolling up some numbers too.
Yeah, I think we've gotten used to seeing Osseo put up big offensive numbers, and we expected that maybe in week one. But for Maple Grove, it was a big week, a record-setting week for a number of individuals and as a team.
These certainly a great rivalry when these two teams have played, but the hidden secret is that for a lot of the rivalry, one or the other is dominated. You've kind of known coming in who probably should win. I think we're getting to the point, though, where it's really a toss-up. Both of these teams looking to go to 2-0, and both of them have a very good chance to win this football game tonight.
Yeah, Osseo obviously has had some key graduations. Maple Grove's bringing some key players back, and I think also for the first time in a couple of years, you can really look at Maple Grove and say they have some of the more dynamic athletes on the outside at the wide receiver position, something that Osseo's probably had the better hand of at least the last 5 years.
Maple Grove threw the football very well that first week. As we look at it right now, wind, I think, certainly could be a factor in the passing game and in the kicking game. So that's going to be something that's going to have to be weighed in.
Yeah, you really don't factor weather too much early on in the season. That's usually something we save for October, but right now it's a windy day here today, and the wind is clearly blowing to one side of the field, so it'll be interesting how that affects the passing game, and then, of course, the field position and who kicks the ball off.
All right, look forward to calling the game with you tonight, Joe.
It should be a good one.
All right, Joe Moline will be with me for tonight's game, and John Jacobson will join me tonight as well. Watch it live here on Channel 12 starting at 7 o'clock. Osseo and Maple Grove renewing their football rivalry. Back to you, John.
All right, Jay and Joe will see you out there in a couple of hours. Well, in other games around the area tonight, Armstrong travels to Blaine to take on the Bengals. Hart Center hosts St. Francis. Wayzata is home to play Eastview. Cooper goes to North Branch. Spring Lake Park is at Benilde St. Margaret's in a key North Suburban Conference game. Ifino Grace is home to face Edina. Brooklyn Center is at Breck, and Providence Academy hosts St. Agnes. All of those games are 7 o'clock kickoffs. Wayzata's girls soccer team won the state Class AA title in 2011. Blake won the Class A championship. And those two powers were matched up Thursday night. This one on the natural grass field at Blake. Erica Grindy delivers the pass, and watch Kylie Schwartz whirl and fire the well-placed left-footed shot inside the goalpost for a 1-0 Trojans lead. Off the free kick, Schwartz blasts it right on target under the crossbar. Another goal, and it's 2-0 Wayzata as the rain starts to fall by halftime. Second half, and Margaret Rocca sets up this goal. The Trojans rolling for a 3-0 lead, and they dominate this one. Summer Johnson fires a hard shot on net. Great stop, but it's back to Isabel Anderson for the goal, and the Trojans lead 4-0. Schwartz completes the hat trick for Wayzata as they beat Blake 5-0, and they improve to 4-1-1 on the season. In cross country, Hopkins hosted the annual Bauman Round Invitational, named after longtime coaches Ed Bauman and Jim Round. Warm day to run at Gale Woods Farm in Minneapolis. This is Hopkins' Joe Klecker, who wins the boys' race with a time of 15 minutes, 53.3 seconds. Thomas Egard and Reed Fisher take 7th and 8th place for the Royals, and a great day for them. Nathan Comer in the red and blue, 27th overall for Armstrong. In the girls' race, Carly Brandt of Mounds View beats Grace Losley of Chanhassen. Sarah Klecker of Hopkins is in 13th. Madeline Hank of Hopkins is 24th, and Parksitter's Kate Simonet right behind her in 25th place. Here's a look at the final team varsity scores. Hopkins wins the boys' meet. Another Lake Conference team, Eden Prairie, finished second, with St. Cloud Cathedral third. Among the other local schools entered, Armstrong finishes 10th, Champlain Park 15th, and Park Center 17th. Chanhassen wins the girls' meet with Lakeville South a distant second. Hopkins edges Eden Prairie for third. Also, Armstrong finishes 12th overall, one spot ahead of Park Center, and Champlain Park places 15th. That's a look at sports for this afternoon.
All right, thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, John. Well, still ahead, we are taking container gardening to a whole new level.
And we're talking tower gardens when we come back. The city of Osseo says, hold on, summer isn't over yet. This weekend marks the 36th annual Osseo Lions Roar Festival, and here's what they have on tap. Saturday, there's the Arts and Crafts Show, as well as a 5K race, which begins 11 o'clock at Osseo High School. Channel 12 will be at the parade, which starts at noon, and our own reporters, Renee Bonneau and Dwayne Cleveland, will be there. There is also live music. The Killer Hayseeds is the main attraction Friday night. Saturday, the evening caps off with the Brat Pack radio bands. Well, if you want a garden but have no space to plant, grow up.
Renee Bonneau goes in the garden for more on the Tower Garden.
We're taking container gardening to a whole new level. Heidi Highland is here to talk to us about tower gardens.
This is created by Juice Plus, and this tower garden is an edible opportunity going vertical. And we know we need to go vertical, but there can be challenges with that because there's not enough soil mass to support very much produce, as well as that small soil mass dries out. Well, this doesn't dry out because it's aeroponic design. Not hydroponic, where the plants sit in water, but aeroponic, which means that the water cycles over the roots. It's on for 15 minutes and off for 15 minutes. And this tower garden comes with everything you need to get the system going, whether it's that timer or the pump that sits down in the 20-gallon reservoir. Just pumps it up to the top and it dribbles over the roots. There's 20 pockets here of edibles in this 2.5 by 2.5 footprint. You can't get that many edibles in small space gardening. It works great if you have poor soils because this is soil-less. Maybe you only have a little bit of sun in one area, but you don't want to create a garden there. You roll this tower garden into that sunny spot, works awesome. Maybe for limited mobility, you don't want to bend over, you don't want to weed, you don't want to water. This satisfies all of those needs for you really simply. You use way less water resources than you would if you were irrigating 20 edibles in the ground. So it's a wonderful, sustainable way to get your needs met in small space gardening. I've just replanted it for my winter harvest because it's on casters and I'm going to be moving it inside underneath grow lights as soon as the frost comes.
Wonderful. Heidi, thank you so much. Heidi Highland with Heidi's Lifestyle Gardens. We'll have more on our website, 12.tv. Click in the garden. In Plymouth, Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
You can order a tower garden for about $500, and she says the cost covers everything you'll need, including the parts and water testing supplies. It's kind of cool. Right out your door, you could have a tower.
Gorgeous green tower, that's right.
And what did you see? Eggplants. We saw eggplants on there. It's amazing.
Make an eggplant parmesan
That's
after that, right?
That'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Community Corner is coming up next.